Hi, I'm Catherine from the Health Conscious Chef. Today we're going to make a 20-minute asparagus leek soup that is so beautiful in just a glass mug to serve your guests or just to have cold. And we're so lucky because asparagus is in season now. And I have a thin asparagus and a thick asparagus that we're working with. So we're going to work with some leeks, and I know a lot of people don't know exactly what leeks are. If you were living in France, you would see these growing along the side of the road. That's how popular they are. We do have to wash them very carefully because they are a sandy vegetable. So I cut the top off, and this is really good to use in a vegetable broth, but you have to wash it really well. And then we're going to just slice it in half, and we're going to submerge it in water because, again, we do find a lot of sand deep in the crevices. So while our leeks are washing really well, you can squish them around just like this. I did wash them before you came, and I'm going to show you how very easily they are to slice. And leeks are wonderful in any saute. They're part of the ilium family, which is really healthy for the lungs, the hearts, get the blood moving to all the arteries. So don't forget leeks, shallots, scallions when you're cooking. These are very, very healthy foods. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is rough chop our asparagus. But I do save some of these very pretty little tips for my garnish at the end of the soup, which really makes for a beautiful presentation. And those will just steam for a minute. So we can just rough chop our asparagus. And this is a pureed soup, so you can't make any mistakes here with your chopping. And you can go very fast, even if you're not a pro. The wonderful thing about this soup is we have these gorgeous shallots. And if anybody hasn't cooked with shallots before, they're very French, and they give a very distinct flavor to anything that you're using them with. And they're very easy to use. I did chop some ahead of time before you came, but I wanted to show you how easy they are to cut. And they're different types of shallots. We're just cutting them like we would a Spanish onion. Small chop. And you can even smell them while you're chopping them. They're so very flavorful. So the saute of this soup is going to be shallots and leeks. We're just going to add our asparagus, and we're ready to go. Okay, we don't need a lot of oil in our soup, just a tablespoon to get the saute going. And this is pure olive oil. So in goes our shallots and our leeks together. And we're just going to let them get a little fragrant and soft before we add the asparagus. And no salt. Okay, so now our shallots and our leeks are really fragrant, and they're actually sizzling. So now we're going to add some fresh thyme. And that's just going to fall right off the leaves at the end of our soup. We're going to add some veggie broth. My veggie broth today is low sodium and organic. You see the organic seal here. You want to be careful when you're buying veggie broths that they don't have sugar in them. And I always dilute my veggie broth in half with water. Now we're going to put our chopped asparagus right into the soup. And it's simply going to just come to a boil, and then we're going to simmer it, and it'll be done. It's that simple. Okay, we're going to check on our soup. And the way we tell if this is done, we're going to just pull up an asparagus and sort of squish it. And yes, it's very tender. So we're going to let it cool off, and then we're going to puree it. Okay, so now my soup has cooled, and I'm going to puree the whole soup. And I can actually I'm going to add the sea salt right into the blender. And a teaspoon will do. And some fresh pepper. And this recipe gets lots of fresh parsley. I'm not even going to chop it. It's going to go right in the blender. Lots of iron from the fresh flat leaf parsley. There you go. Okay, I've just finished our last batch of pureeing. Just going to add it to the bowl. And then I'm just going to taste and adjust the seasonings. It probably will need a little pinch of sea salt. It's so creamy without any dairy. I think it's perfect. Now I'm going to serve it in this very pretty glass mug. You could use a bowl. It could look very rustic. I love the minty green of it. And I love to serve it with a wedge of lemon, some lemon and lime zest, and of course, our asparagus tips that we saved. And these could even be raw. And there it is. Enjoy. Okay, and that's how easy it is. Bon appetit. I'm Catherine, filming for The Ideal Chef.